So this is a real quote from the Chief Financial Officer of Trane, one of the biggest HVAC companies in America, on a public earnings call. And he said, "I don't want anyone to think that pricing is coming down in that market." And here is another from the CFO of Lennox, big giant, at a conference in 2025. He said, "The next pricing level will be early next year when we all come out and announce our next full round of price increases." Okay, so when we all come out, 7 companies that make 90% of America's HVAC equipment, they're now being sued in a federal court for allegedly coordinating to fix the price of your air conditioner since 2020. If you bought HVAC in the last 5 years, you may have been overcharged on purpose, and today I'll show you the receipts. So if you're an HVAC shop owner watching this one's for you specifically. For 5 years now, your customers have maybe blamed you, and you raised your prices because your equipment costs have gone up. And the customer standing in their living room looked at your invoice and decided you were the greedy one. You ate the bad reviews, you ate the, you're a scam comments perhaps, and you took the heat for the price increase. This lawsuit is your vindication. The federal complaint alleges that the people who actually set those prices, the manufacturers, coordinated the whole thing and then handed everyone a cover story to feed you. So you weren't the villain according to this lawsuit, you were just kind of the front man for someone else's alleged conspiracy. Quick intro, my name is Gitis. I'm building Run a Call. It's an HVAC software alternative for shops 1 to 20 technicians, flat rate, no contract, and no per technician fees. I'm not a technician, but I'm a software founder, and I also run a small AI agency on the side called Kunig. Cool. Now back to the lawsuits. So note up front, these are just allegations, okay? The companies deny them, we'll get their denials, but the executives' quotes are real. They're public and they're on record. So the first case, Berg versus Robert Bosch and all the others, was filed on March 20th of 2026 in federal court in Michigan. Within 10 days, a second lawsuit was filed by a contractor. And now there's a third, okay? And all 3 allege the same thing. So the defendants, like Trane, Carrier, Daikin, Bosch, together, and this is the number that matters, they control over 90% of the US HVAC equipment market, a market that was worth about $31 billion in 2024. The allegation in plain English, beginning of January 2020, these 7 companies allegedly agreed in advance to raise prices together and then conceal the agreement. The lawsuit calls it a 6-year conspiracy that resulted in $1 billion in overcharges. So now I do want to be precise because this is the whole case. It is a completely legal one for one company to raise. It's completely legal for one company to raise prices because a competitor did. That's just conscious parallelism. Everybody watching their competitor and matching them, that's legal. What's illegal is agreeing beforehand to raise your prices together, right? That's conspiracy. That removes competition, like that's the line. So the entire lawsuit hinges on one question. Like, did these companies just happen to raise prices around the same time? Like, cool, that was legal. Or did they agree to do it in advance and kind of signal each other illegally? So the plaintiffs say they have evidence of the second one. Let me show you what they're pointing at. So just when I started this video, I had this quote here. "I don't want anyone to think that pricing is coming down in the market." And then you have the Lennox CFO saying the next level will be early next year when we all come out and announce our next full round of pricing increases. Next year, we'll do our annual price increase. And just like we always do, we expect similar results by others. We all come out, similar results by others. The plaintiffs argue that's an executive describing coordinated industry-wide pricing, okay, as if it were normal. And here's the mechanism the lawsuit alleges they used to coordinate. So the complaint alleges the manufacturers used ACHR News, this trade publication here, the one I'm literally reading right now, to signal their pricing intentions to each other. Now, it's a big conspiracy, but quote from the complaint, the defendants allegedly used the publication to signal to one another to perpetuate this. They'd announce a price increase in the trade press. The competitor would read it and match it, and the next one would do the same, and so on and so forth. So the lawsuit also alleges they shared information through an industry group launched in 2020 and used coded language to conceal it. And the trade magazine became allegedly the bulletin board for this whole thing. So here's the part that ties every video I've made about why your HVAC bill doubled. I did a whole video explaining that your bill went from $6,000 to $14,000 because the manufacturer increases, refrigerant transitions, tariffs, and I took these explanations mostly at face value. According to this lawsuit, I shouldn't have. The complaint says, and I'm quoting the reporting on it, that when customers complain about prices, the manufacturers had their story ready, which was like COVID-19 disrupted supply chains, new efficiency standards, required expensive redesigns, so on and so forth. So the three big reasons, like everyone, including me, accepted why HVAC got so expensive. I don't know. The lawsuit alleges those were a prepared cover story, and some of you might believe that, some of you might not. But the real cost pressures definitely existed, sure. But the suit alleges the companies hid behind them to push prices as far as possible and coordinated while doing it. So every time you, the shop owner, repeated it's COVID, it's the refrigerant rules, it's the tariffs to a customer, you were, according to the lawsuit, repeating the alleged cover story for free. So you were their kind of like unpaid spokesperson, and you took the customer's anger for it. So there's three things that you can do this week. Number one, the lawsuit exists, understand that. Berg versus Bosch and all these different lawsuits, both in the Eastern District of Michigan. If your shop bought equipment directly since 2020, you may be a class member, so you can talk to your accountant or an attorney about it. And two, stop carrying the cover story. Next time the customer challenges you on pricing, you can simply tell them the truth. There's an active litigation going on where manufacturers allegedly fix these prices, and then you can put yourself on the customer side. And number three, you can control the part of your cost stack, which is obviously software, okay? So when I speak about software, I'm reverting back to this, and this is live. There's 25 founding members, 9 spots remain. It's $200 a month forever if you're a founding member. No contract, no per-technician fees, and I obviously cannot do anything about a 90% market share equipment cartel. That's for the federal courts. But this piece I can definitely help you out on. So go to runacall.com.